Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of our Nasfund podcast called NasCast. We're excited to have you join us today, where we bring you all conversations to help you not only build a brighter financial future, but a secured financial future. Speaking of retirement, and that's life after the workforce. Today, we're focusing on a very essential topic in terms of your long-term savings, and that's compound interest. And we're very delighted to have once again with us Chief Executive Officer of NasFund, Mr. Rajeev Sharma. Good morning, CEO. Thank you for joining us.
Morning. Good to be back.
Thank you. Our topic this morning, once again, is compound interest. Let's begin with just the simple question of what is compound interest? What is the difference between compound interest and simple interest?
Lovely. Great question. Because often we get confused with the term interest. We think that both simple interest and compound interest are the same things, but they're very different in the sense that in simple interest, interest is calculated only on the principal amount. And in compounding interest, interest is calculated on principal plus interest. And as time passes by, that amount increases. Say you have a 10,000 kina of principal and interest rate is 10%. Then in simple interest, and on year one, interest will be calculated on 10,000 if amount is invested for the whole 364 days or 1 year. So interest earned will be 1,000 kina, right? In both simple interest and compounding, yeah, because it's just 1 year period. Now, when we go to year two, in simple interest, again, interest will be calculated on 10,000 kina. But on compounding interest, interest will be calculated on 10,000 of the principal plus 1,000 kina, which is the interest earned in year one on 11,000 kina. It means what you will earn is 1,100 this year. And your principal for the next year compounding interest calculation will become 12,100. So it is interest on interest. So, and that is the difference. It is not the simple interest. It is basically the interest which gets calculated over a period on accumulated part, which is interest on interest.
Thank you, CEO. That's a great explanation, really. If you had to put it in really simple words, why is compound interest so powerful for people over the long term in general?
Look, compounding interest is also called eighth wonder of the world. So there is reason why you call it, because it is time in the market or the time where money is spent that is important. So for any long-term saving, what happens when you do a long-term saving? One, you have a principal, then you have over period of time, then you have accumulation of interest, and then interest gets calculated on interest, right? And it becomes a very powerful and increased amount as you go forward in life. Now, to put it simply in other words, it does not get added; it started getting multiplied. And it is the multiplication which brings it more powerful. Like if I say that every 10 years, if money was to grow double at 7.2% interest rate by applying rule of 72, then year one, if you have 100,000 kina, and after 10 years, it will become that 100 will become 200, 200 will become 400, 400 will become 800, and 800 will become 1600. So 16 times growth is not the simple mathematics. If you simply add, it will become 4. But if you multiply, it will become 16. So it's a multiplier impact of interest which started playing. So the more time you leave funds, they don't only grow in multiplication, exponentially they grow. And that is why it is very important that we keep money longer in the market where money will grow over a period of time.
Indeed, thank you. That's the eighth wonder of the world, and I think CEO has obviously put it in a great package. It's the multiplication of it all. That's the beauty of compound interest. Now, just narrowing down our perspective from a Nest Fund perspective, really, why is compound interest so important for building member superannuation over time?
Look, first, a superannuation is a long-term saving. So we expect members to come and join in when they start working, say at the age of 20 or 25 years of age. And when they retire, the age could be 55, 60, depending on individual circumstances, right? So we're looking at someone who joined at 20, finishes at 60, has got 40 years of sustained working, and in 40 years he is be contributing to a superannuation. Now, how money would grow in 40 years' time? Because in those 40 years, he would contribute principal amount, employer contribution, and employee contribution. But what he does not realize is works that every year he gets annual crediting rate. So interest keep accumulating that. Next year, in year two, he gets interest income on principal of contributions plus interest earned on the previous year plus whatever contributions we have made in year two. So as time passes by, the interest on interest it starts playing a bigger part in superannuation. As we say, this is a multiplier impact. And if you'd see in a longer period, you would see that if you take a lot of modeling, that interest amount will surpass the contribution, the principal amount. And that's why we say in superannuation, when you leave fund for a long period, you start benefiting more. The other example of that would be, suppose you are a 20-year-old and you start contributing, and someone who is 30-year-old, you start contributing. Both contributing same amount of money, but after 40 years, when they turn 60, the one who is 30-year-old will have 50% of the money with the 10-year-old. Because for 10 years, whatever money he's earned, that will keep multiplying, which he will miss out.
The 20-year-old.
The 20-year-old will have more, 30-year-old have less. So time to catch up, it becomes very difficult because he has had advantage of growing money in 10 years' time, which 30-year-old did not have it. And that is why saving early in life is very important. Saving very regularly is very important. And what is the other part important from superannuation? That you should not be withdrawing fund. Because same example, if someone withdraws money, say at the age of 30, unemployment benefit because he needed money, right? And you withdraw 10,000 kina when you are 30 years of age. But what you don't realize is that at 7.2% average return, by the time you turn 60, what you lose is not 10,000 kina. You would have got 80,000 kina by that because of the multiplier impact. So that is why it is important from superannuation perspective that interest earned on the money will only give benefit to you if it is live longer in the super fund.
Sure. Thank you, CEO. It's a great example in Papua New Guinea. Really, there's, I think, the savings culture. We've all struggled with that in this day and age. So it's really great advice you've given there. Also, probably coming back for more advice from your expertise. What advice do you have for members who would want to maximize their superannuation benefits using compound interest?
First of all, early savings in life, because compounding will be more beneficial if you start saving early in life. If you start at 20, you're going to be in 60, retiring at 60, then you have 40 years. You start at 25, then only 35 years. You must on 5 years of compounding. And in later part, the compounding plays more important role, right? So that is one, start early. Second is consistent saving. Third one, what you should realize is not make all contributions for 12 months in the month of December and expect same benefit. Because the way money gets calculated is every month when you start putting in money, it starts earning interest from that month. Like when contributions made in January, interest will be calculated for the particular year from January to December. If you made in February, February to December. If you made a contribution in November or December, then you only will have benefit of 2 months or 1 month. So that is why regular, timely contributions are very important. Third is voluntary contribution. If you think that you don't have enough money there, make voluntary contribution, make those voluntary contributions early, not enough in life. Because if you make contribution early, then you have to make less contributions. Like suppose when you turn 50 and you realize that from your target of your retirement amount, you are short by 80,000 kina, right? 160,000 kina. Then at the age of 50, you have to put 80,000 kina so that that 80 becomes 160. Yeah. But if you have this target very clear when you are 30-year-old, then you have to put only 20,000 kina. Because that when you are 30, that 20,000 kina, it will grow to 40 when you are 40, it will grow to 80 when you are 50, and it will grow to 160 when you are 60. So that exactly is the huge difference this compounding interest makes. So if you can make that decision early in life, that how much money would you be needing in your retirement, and if you start contributing, the early contribution you have to make lesser contributions, because in life what happens when you are young, you have expenses, but expenses are far more when you are later part of life, because your kids grow up, they have to go for higher education, or you have built your house, you have to repay for house and so forth, so you have to buy other assets. But if initial period, if you can contribute more, it has far more uh, benefiting impact on your superannuation.
So really, thank you, CEO. I think how can also our Nest Fund members track and understand the impact of compound interest on their savings over time? How can they do that? Just for the layman.
There are various ways, because they can log on to their employer portal. In our website, they can go to website, register, and look at that. So when you go to the portal, you can check your balance. Now, balances of members, they are in three categories there. One is the employer portion. This is 8.4% contribution which employer makes. And second one is 6% contribution which is made by employee from their post-tax salary. And third part of the contribution comes from income, which is interest income. So interest earned over a period of time. Now, when you go and check your statement, you should always check, because interest is credited on 31st of December. So that you should check. That not only that you can log on to the system and see that, but if you have a Nasfund app, which you have downloaded, you can check your balances and interest and your statement of every year just through using of your app. So I encourage all to either log in there and have app, because app is very handy.
Thank you, CEO. Very critical insights into superannuation and our topic compound interest for the men. Probably just before we wrap up, do you mind sharing examples or observations from your stand, and probably from NasFund members who have benefited from staying invested over many years?
Yeah, because we see members' data, right? And when we look at the members' data, what we see is those who have not withdrawn their money, those who have contributed continuously, those who have remained invested, they are far ahead of people who did not contributed regularly or who have withdrawn. So it is time in the market which is most important. It is the time in the superannuation when you remain invested that is of significance. It is not that you decide at the age of 50, I'll put 100,000 kina, I expect that to become 500,000 kina by the time we turn 60. No one has got the magic wand. The only magic wand we have is called compounding interest. But for that, you need to be invested for the long period of time.
Eighth wonder of the world, rule of 72, multiplication, the beauty of compound interest. Mr. Rajeev Sharma, Chief Executive Officer of NasFund. So I want to say thank you for your time on this edition of NasCast. We look forward to the next one, to the third edition. But, before we go, just some final words from you, just wrapping up.
Just stay invested, don't withdraw, do your additional contributions, voluntary contributions early in life, so that you all can benefit from the eighth wonder of the world, which is called the compounding interest. Thank you so very much.